We're going to do a brief presentation on cutting the cord. You know, I found this interesting. Out of all the prizes out there on the back, we have all kinds of gizmos and gadgets. What do you guys guess the #1 prize is that we're giving away?
The ring.
Earphones.
Headphones. That's the #1 thing. #1 thing is the headphones. Do you want to know what one of the cheapest things that we purchased for tonight's evening?
Headphones.
It's the headphones. So, and I think that the problem a lot of people have is that they look at these, you know, these gadgets, and Mike, you're back there. Can you hold up the cube? So that has about 2 tickets in there. So who put their ticket in for that? You guys are the smartest people in this room. We're selling. I mean, I'm taking a cut. I get 20%.
Is there 2 tickets in there?
I think there's 3.
No.
I've lost already.
But that right there is basically a set-top box for people who are trying to cut the cord. And what we're going to talk about today, I think a lot of people didn't put in for it because it's an intimidating process. It's something that people think, you know, I could never get into it, I could never learn it, and they say just throw their hands up and I'll pay the cable company $250 a month and get 400 channels with 200 of them being in Spanish you never watch them. Right? So, with me today is my uncle, Chris Williams. So I have to say my uncle, just make him feel old.
9 years apart.
He is the CEO and founder of PerpetuallyGeek.com. It is a cybersecurity network company, I guess that would be the best way to describe it. And he's going to help me with tonight's presentation. Right here we see
technology being technology.
Yes,
right?
we see
the middle of our
the
presentation.
middle of the
it's
presentation. So we're going to talk through first is kind of the base level of how we cut the cord. So anyway, first off, who here thinks that they overpay the cable company? I mean, yeah, if you don't raise your hand, you have to work for it. There's no chance, right? So I personally was very reluctant when I first thought of this cutting the cable thing. And the first thing I thought of was, I'm going to miss, you know, I know I'm going to get a lot of boos, but I'm going to miss my Dallas Cowboys. When I get boos, I knew it, I get some boos. But I'm going to miss my Cowboys, I'm going to miss some news, I'm going to miss all sorts of things. But the beauty of these systems and what we have today, the technology, is basically TV a la carte. So you can choose, you know, pick and choose exactly what you want. And they have options from, you know, if you want to pick just HBO, there's an app that's just HBO. But then you have stuff that's kind of a quasi cable / cutting cable things like Sling TV and DirecTV Now, where they Pluto TV, where they give you, you know, some of the channels that you watch every day of live TV, but it's, you know, it's the main ones that you watch. It's ESPN, it's, you know, it's all the news channels and stuff like that. So you're not overpaying for something that you're not going to use.
Right.
So you want to go for the first one? The first option we have for cutting cable.
Yeah, buying an HD antenna, right? And so the first thing you could do is you can buy an HD antenna. Depending on your area, right, you should be able to get all the local channels at no additional cost. And that's the first step, right? Because again, the cost for regular TV, it's very expensive. And so an HD antenna, cost for it, you know, it covers itself in the first 2-3 months of you owning it.
Yeah, I did a little survey online when I was doing my in-depth research for cutting cord, and it said that you can do a calculator, and I save, you know, $1,000 a year just by cutting cable. And I know that's, you know, you're not going to go away on a Paris vacation on that, but, you know, if you're not losing anything, $1,000 extra in your pocket, you know, why not do it? So I think that what we're going to try and do is just kind of give you those first steps to get there. And on this handout, I hope everyone has in their packet, we kind of outline everything we're going to go over, and then also some resources. Did we give out the packets yet? Oh, I'm sorry. You're going to be receiving it at the end of that, so I promise this won't go to waste.
With my cable.
But there's some resources at the end that you guys can also look at, some websites that kind of speak to this whole idea.
Right.
So once this updates, what we're going to highlight today is a Amazon Fire TV. So, you know, we have a few Amazon products back there, and the reason that we kind of chose the Fire TV is out of all these services, the Amazon one, and I know some people don't like having the Alexa. Who here has Alexa in their house? Okay, so we have a lot of people. I know there's a lot of people who say, you know, it's the government listening on me, so they choose not to do it. But the beauty of doing the Alexa and doing the Fire TV is it's all integrated. So I have a 2.5-year-old daughter, and my whole life is watching Mickey Mouse pretty much these days. I don't, the beauty is I say that a lot of the value is watching sports and your news. I watch Mickey and Minnie nonstop 24/7, and that's pretty much it. But the value here is if I'm on the couch, and who here loses the remote all the time? I lose it constantly. If you have an Alexa, you can say, Alexa, turn on Disney Now, and boom, we have an infant who's not crying, and we have Mickey Mouse on the TV. And that's kind of one of the big things with all the Amazon products. They talk.
The other thing about Amazon is they have a huge platform, right? And so they have a lot of the applications and TV shows and channels that some of the others don't, like Roku, where they don't have as much support. So that's another plus to actually going with the Amazon Fire TV.
Yeah, and if we can ever get this to kick on, then we'll try and share
Technology.
this.
Is that going through
If
cable?
not, let me tell you, this is the closest you're going to get to a Williams boy band with us with these headsets. We have a whole song and dance routine if this doesn't work.
Bring your father up.
But anyway, so it's almost done. Anyway, but just go through this sheet. So first things first is you want to pick either, if you want to go with antenna, you can mix and match both. So you can use an antenna and use a smart TV. So those work great. So you have the free local channels on your antenna, then you can do some of the premiums. And there's kind of two choices of what to do with these services. You can either go for something that's a live TV service, like I was talking about, where you can get the news, you can get your sports, and you can do it on demand, and you can do, Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, all that sort of things that you guys probably heard of.
You also have some of the free services, and so
Thank God.
So again, some of the free services you have are Pluto TV, Crackle, which is Sony Crackle, and so you don't actually have to pay for those services. What they do is they incorporate commercials, and that's how they cover their costs. So with an HD antenna and a service like Pluto TV, you can actually watch a lot of the shows that you would normally watch on regular TV.
Yeah, you get pretty much anything. So the funny thing about this part of the presentation is I'm supposed to tell you about how you don't really need the super high-speed internet to do any of these services. Of course, our internet is not working right now, but we're going to get there.
And here's another tip is if you are looking to cut the cable, right, the way you can save costs is a lot of the cable providers will actually up your price for your cable TV and also for your modem rental. And so what you can do is replace the modem with your own, just contact your TV provider, make sure that you buy a supported modem, and now you no longer have to pay the monthly fee for the cable modem.
And who here has called their cable company and basically told them they were leaving? Did you inherit like a stalker for the next month and a half? Basically, it's that old girlfriend who never wanted you until you tried to leave. They will. So if you call them, and I have it set on my calendar on a yearly basis, I say, hey, you know what? I'm going to call them, and if I say I'm going to leave, they're like, how about half off? That's where they start. So every year you can call them and they will give you the away. So that's another tip. But anyway, we're going to highlight the Amazon Fire TV service. And this is the handy little remote that you get. And if you are not too comfortable scrolling and all that sort of thing, the beauty of this is you can go, there's a little microphone at the top, you can hold it and say crackle. And it will pull up.
Snap, crackle, pop.
Oh, I'm sorry. Pluto TV. And it will pull up Pluto TV. That's what I just said. Then you just hit enter, and it's going to pop up. And this is a totally free service. This is Pluto TV. There's no subscription. There's nothing. And you can get some stuff like, I don't know if I want to put on Van Wilder. I don't know if it's appropriate for tonight's evening, but
right?
Rocky was on, and all these, there's forensic files. You can get all sorts of things,
And
no
this is-
extra cost.
And this is more like the traditional cable companies where you have a guy, right, and you can't record this, but you can watch it live. And, they give you a lot of the common channels that you'll see, like, again, Comedy Central, Forensic Files. Scroll down, let's get somewhere. It's actually,
Fox News. I don't think Fox News makes some money off of free stuff, so they're probably going to charge us a little bit. The Fighter, Freelancers, let's see what this is. And we have a beautiful sunset.
and again, for free, you have good quality, right?
Yeah,
Overall, the
it's
picture's
HD.
really good.
And that's another thing that we actually didn't mention at the top is those HT antennas that you get for $15. You're going to get just as good a quality. You're not; these aren't your rabbit ears where you have to mess with them and jimmy with them to get the picture to come in. So we're going to exit out of that.
That said, though, it depends on your area with the antenna, right?
Yep.
So you definitely want, before you cut the cord and you want to go with the antenna, you just want to buy one, test it out, and make sure that you actually get good quality.
Yeah. So we're going to highlight, I think everyone's heard of Netflix at this point. Who hasn't, right? So I might not go, but this is one of those on-demand, you can look at on-demand. And the beauty of these things that they're doing now is they're making programming just for Netflix. And it's not just, some terrible show that no one wants to watch. It's actually very good stuff that they're spending millions and millions of dollars on, so it's quality.
The other is Amazon, right? You have
Yep.
Prime as part of being, if you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, if you have this, you will get access to all the Prime
Yep.
content, no additional cost,
Yep.
and they have a huge library of content.
Yeah.
Which is,
So who here is already using Prime? 2-day shipping or anything like that. So this is all included. This is all free. You get all these shows for free, all the movies for free. It's included in your Amazon Prime membership.
all you need is an internet connection.
Yes.
You don't want to cut the whole cord, right?
Yeah,
You need
exactly.
an internet connection.
Exactly. You can cut it way back though. But I think that's kind of what we wanted to present to you guys and just kind of highlight how easy it can be. And all the options, so you're not really sacrificing much by doing this, and you're getting everything you need.
Right. And the other thing is, older TVs, you can make them smart, start streaming. Also, with newer TVs, a lot of the time, the hardware, right? The hardware in the TV is not as good because it's not dedicated hardware, so you're not going to have as good a performance on a smart TV that you will have on a dedicated box. So by having that box, you're going to have less of the buffering, less of the jittery TV, better quality overall.
So I guess the good thing about this, who here actually saved their ticket? Who hasn't made that decision? Who hasn't dove in? Anyone? I was going to say that you have a perfect chance. You can up your odds for the Fire TV. But I think that's going to conclude our presentation. But we're going to open it up for some questions if anyone has some. Any questions? We did that good. No.
Well, I
Okay.
just wanted to mention that we did cut our cord.
Yep.
Kids moved out. We did get an outside, aerial antenna.
Yeah.
And I actually found that the HD TV was better quality than the cable.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing what you can pull down from the antennas. It's all HD. You're not missing any quality. It's great.
And people don't realize they get that for free, right?
It's
Most
all
people
free.
don't realize you can get all the local channels, right? No cost.
I think we have a stat here that said that I think 19 out of the top 20 TV shows are actually on the basic cable that you get for free. So it's the most popular content people are paying for when they really don't need to.
The other thing I'll mention that we didn't mention earlier is there are also other options from like DirecTV and other providers where you can actually pay a monthly fee of like $39.99 and they give you a cloud DVR where you can actually record shows and watch them later. And so it's much more closer to traditional cable, but you're saving a lot of the cost, which is really nice. And so you just have a lot of choices, right? Where, with cable, you're kind of stuck and they're always telling you why you can't cancel, right? Because you're going to end up paying more money, which again, isn't really the case.
Yeah.
Where do you get the antenna at?
And the antenna you can get from Amazon. It's funny.
How you know it's going to work?
They have those antennas. They will have 5,000 views on there. So if it didn't work, it would have 5,000 one-star
We
reviews.
actually had to try several,
Yeah.
Really?
but we just sent them back and ordered
What do you
a
need?
different one until you.
So the antennas are pretty simple. They're really, they have it two ways. So a lot of the TVs now have an HDMI cable, right?
Right.
You're familiar with that.
Right.
So they have an HDMI that you can plug in directly to the TV, and then they have a cable coaxial that everyone's used to that you can plug into the TV as well. And from there, you can either put it on a window. I found you didn't really need to. You can kind of hide it and it'll pick it up.
We found where we lived, that's the thing, 'cause we initially tried
Oh,
the
there you
ones
go.
that you do inside the house in the windows, and they weren't working, so we actually had to go to one that we put outside on our garage. But, every time I would send the old one back to Amazon and they would send me the next one. But we did end up having to go to one that we had to put outside.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it comes down to
Satellite.
how how populated your area where you live. You know, we moved up from Charlotte. In Charlotte, I could literally put in a closet and I pick up every local station.
Just to be clear, the antenna is for the house or for the TV? So if you have 6 TVs, I'm getting 1 antenna, or am I getting 6 antennas?
The antennas you'd have to get each, but they're only $15 each if you were going to get them. So it's not a huge space. But if you have 6 TVs, good for you. Tell me your secret, 'cause I got one and I'm watching Mickey on it. That's it.
But if you
Don't these
can't,
antennas have a limited range?
I'm sorry.
A limited range?
That's an excellent question. So actually, that is what kind of determines the price point for a lot of them. So if you're in a densely populated area, you probably only need one that goes 25 miles or whatever it is. But these things go, you can get, they have ones that are $80 that you can probably get from here to Montana.
Right. I mean, that really dictates, depending on where you are, you get better quality. But I think your point was great where, if you're not sure yet, you're probably better off buying at a local store, right? This way you
Yeah.
can actually go return it, exchange it, try another antenna, right? Where Amazon is going to be more painful. You have to go through the whole return process.
if I
Exactly.
can't get DirecTV, what am I gonna do?
So we got the questions flowing now. Who's got some more? Over here? Listen's running.
Y'all all have one over here, and then she'll.
Yeah, she's just gonna throw them across the room.
I just wanted to point out, there's an app that you can get called TV Towers.
Yeah.
So you can put in your zip code and it'll tell you what the signal strength is. So you know if you can bother with an antenna.
See, he's
Nice.
upstaging me.
Yeah. Hey, that's great information.
Yeah, come on up. You can finish this one. Any other questions? That's a great tip for people. Because I would just sit there and try and guess it. Any other questions?
I guess myself.
Go for it. Yeah, Alyssa.
Set this whole gadget thing up, but I don't necessarily understand it all. I guess my big concern is like, am I gonna get my regular live TV when I want it?
Yep.
It just seems so overwhelming to cut the cord
Yeah.
because we're all attached to it.
So I think that we kind of touched on this a little bit, but one of the great apps here is people kind of who want to, I guess, take baby steps towards cutting the cord and are a little more nervous about missing out on the shows and stuff they want. Is applications like DirecTV Now. Basically, DirecTV has figured out that they are losing people hand over fist, and they're losing money hand over fist because people are cutting cable left and right. What they've done to try to get ahead of it is they're saying, okay, we're going to give you an app on the system, and you're going to get kind of most of the shows you want. It's kind of a one-stop shop. So you could have just one app, and it will give you live TV, DirecTV Now. Now, the downside of that is you're going to pay more for this because of that convenience. So you're going to have all the shows you want, you're going to have everything you need, but they're going to charge you a premium over some of the, if you want to hunt and peck a little bit, you can go and you can check out some of these free ones, and then you can look. Sling TV is a great option if you kind of want that middle road. Sling TV has kind of a lot of the channels that DirecTV now has, but it also has kind of a sliding scale. So you can pay $20 a month, and you can get kind of the news and your sports and all that. But you can scale it up. You can go all the way up to pretty much where you're paying close to what you pay for cable, and you can get everything. So they're kind of giving you that sliding scale. Sheree has a question.
I'm so lost.
Sheree doesn't need a microphone. She'll just.
But each one of those, like I have Roku,
Yeah.
and every app though does cost you money. Like Netflix charges me $10 a month.
$8 a month. Yeah.
Okay, Hulu is another $9 a month or
Yep.
whatever. So cutting the cord saves you some, but then just like what you just said, the more apps that you have.
I mean, it's like I said, it's all a la carte. So I mean, it's kind of what you're into. So some people, I realized I need a lot less than I thought I needed. I thought I'd need a whole lot. I could live, yeah. Now I need Disney. That was a good one. But as long as I had ESPN and probably an HD antenna that could get all the local football stations, that's all. I was good. That was it. And it kind of. But that's the thing. You can go and take this as far. You can pay pretty much what you pay for cable if you want. But most people scale it back. I mean, they realize, hey, why am I paying this money and I'm not losing out on it?
It just depends on what you're trying to get out of it, right? Because again, you You can do all the free options if you just want to do the HD antenna, you don't want to record any shows, right? Or you can pay $39.99 a month for like DirecTV.
Yeah. Yep. We have one more coming in. We got a couple more. Table 6. Don't grill me. I gotta sit with you guys.
Yeah, I was, yeah, we have YouTube TV,
Yeah.
and I have it on 5 channels
Yeah.
at the board, and I get 80 channels.
Yeah.
I pay $35 a month, ESPN, sports, all the national stations, the local stations.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's great. It's easy.
It's easy to set up.
It's kind of just taking that first step, and it's people are very intimidated by this whole process. But I mean, like you said with YouTube, is if you have any questions, I mean, we gave you guys some resources, but you can YouTube how to do anything nowadays, from cutting cable to how to chop down a tree with chopsticks or something.
So, can you DVR so you can time shift your show?
That's actually DirecTV Now does it. So they're one of the ones that are now kind of doing the DVR thing. But I think a lot of what TV's shifting to now is an on-demand basic platform. So now nobody waits to watch Friends when it comes on at 4 o'clock. No, I mean, watch. You can watch the whole season. You go to Netflix. You can watch every season of Friends. You know, at any time. I am not a Friends person. My wife loves Friends. I get to watch sports. She gets to watch Friends, and that's kind of our trade on it. But any other questions?
Michael's more of a real household.
Yeah, I'm more of a reality. Yeah. Jersey Shore is mine.
I just got some smart TVs to the house.
Yeah.
Do I also need one of these Fire Sticks or 5?
You don't have to. It really depends on the TV manufacturer, right? So to get apps on their platform, right, you actually have to have a large customer base. So Sony, for example, they actually have a large customer base, so they have a lot more apps than a lot of the others, right? But if you get some of the more obscure brands, you have a lot less applications. And that's where Amazon, they have a lot more content because people are building apps for their platform because of, they have a lot of markets, a lot of people have adopted their box.
But those smart TVs, every single one of them is going to have, you're going to have your Netflix.
The basics.
You're going to have the Hulu's. But these things kind of go above and beyond that. You get some of the apps you probably won't get with the smart TVs. So, any other questions?
Can you come over and set it up for me?
I will give you the prestige generic email if you have questions. That's it. But
Make it a
no,
point.
you guys can find us, on our website and all over.
Dinner will be out in about 5 minutes. If you want to take a look at the gadgets,
Yeah.
go to the back.
Yeah, I'm kind of upset that everyone's kind of made their decision, because now you guys can go ahead and try and go after that Fire TV.
No, we were selling. We were selling tickets though.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.